Hi, this is Mark Kaigwa from Nendo, and fuel prices, the economy, and generally even the finance bill are in a key spotlight right now through the end of the month of May, going into the month of June and beyond. There's a mix of noise online and signal, meaning that there are conversations, but there are insights within that. There's tens and hundreds of thousands of data points. So I want to walk you through in just a few minutes a little bit of how Nendo goes about this type of work using a free report that we made available from the 19th of March day, which was last Monday, by the day of me recording this, and just talk you through a couple high level insights. I'm going to fly through this, so bear with me, but it's really just to give you a glimpse of how we look at some of these types of issues. And this is a sample of about 50,000 different online conversations that we've used. And we do this sort of work as Nendo for all sorts of issues in society, in governance, in the broader digital sphere, for brands, for nonprofits and philanthropies, and for many others. Just really trying to, again, figure out how big is this phenomenon, how many people are saying this, what are the narratives, conversations, and sentiments, and what are the networks organizing around key topics for and against, and what should I do? What should I, as the person who has commissioned the report, need to know? With that said, let me fly through. This is just some background on Endo. I'm going to skip this for this video because if you're getting this video, in the link will be a little bit more about Nendo, so you can actually watch that. But this is a five-step process. You are basically getting an experience here on the top left-hand side. So it's around discovery, and then these are a range of our clients. So quick one, there's multiple ways to visualize this. A couple of the key ones to figure out were this morning is when people saw that the protests were real. People were really seeing that the what we would consider in this report some of the largest mass action seen in Kenya for perhaps even the last decade plus. We've had all sorts of different types of isolated protests in isolated areas, but to see the transport sector by extension do this meant that this was one which had mobilized and united a set of typically disparate interests, including commercial interests, with people suspending those, and some people even going as far as to punish or reprimand those people who went against this mandate to actually carry passengers, be they Ubers or different forms of transportation. So midday is really when things got to a head with some of the different sound bites that were carrying through the internet, but also with some of the escalations between protesters and the authorities that led to some tragic scenes that saw multiple people injured and in some cases lose their lives. On this side was the second point towards the evening, where you had the government present its view, and then by extension you had a contradiction from members from the transport sector. Now, this conversation shifted from fuel based towards political based rather quickly, and we think that this is going to continue going into the month of end of May and the month of June, and so this is something to keep close watch on, as well as not just the price of fuel, but as you can tell, it moved from fuel to electricity to even additional other conversations that followed. This seemed to be a Nairobi-based conversation, but we would mandate that shouldn't be overlooked because 29 separate counties across the country, which is a pretty big sample size outside of just digital audiences, were having this conversation. And we don't have TikTok in this report, but the TikTok conversation spreads a lot more nationwide as well. I think it's interesting to watch the use of memes because they have an enduring part of internet cyber culture, and so they can end up being sort of coded in the ways that they end up presenting the conversation. So there's a gentleman who ended up speaking and saying the phrase "with all due respect," which is carried over. It's being used in WhatsApp chats. It's being used with AI generated images. It's being used in sports, in culture, in broader society. And while the same gentleman would later, Mr. Kaunda, I think, would later change tack with how he spoke regarding the government once a deal was arrived at, and at the subsequent press conferences. It's worth us just keeping tabs on that. And this here is a key point where we have particular takeaways. This is just for us to just show a quick glimpse of some of the challenges from the actual institutions. This motorist office has continued to be very aggressive in terms of their rhetoric. And then Cyprian Nyakundi, we might know as a blogger, an influential online provocateur and influence. Here we have, again, a different set of phrases there. There's matatus, there's transport, there's multiple people, like I said, who came together, and that's something of interest to keep watch on going forward. This year just shows who the ire, the frustration, the attention was put on. It was not necessarily on the cabinet or the technocrats or political appointees, but back to His Excellency the President. So that's something to keep again watch of and dig deeper into to see whether this is purely about cost of living, or broadly about electricity and energy, or broadly about transportation. There's multiple ways to sort of like unpack that data and look historically and into the future to make predictions. For this, I think that, yeah, excessive use of force, allegations of looting, aspects of loss of life, very tragic, all of those featuring here that were really challenging just to witness, especially for lots of eyewitness accounts, lots of very harrowing, almost traumatic, like citizen journalism that captured some of the use of live ammunition on potential not on potential, but on protesters, right? That I think was seen and witnessed and corroborated, and you have human rights organizations also speaking to the same. So I think that's also like a piece there as well that's worth paying close attention to, just going into the coming weeks and months, as there may be maybe skirmishes or maybe potential protests as well. There's a whole galaxy of keywords of which are worth keeping tabs on, but this shift towards the finance bill is the one to keep closest tabs on. And then I'll skip this because this is self-explanatory. Here was just a quick summary of what brands should do. We think brands should be really mindful of how they go about marketing and being sensitive to the moment economically. Government, from media to how they carry about speaking and advocating for their position in the public eye, within the constitution, and inviting public participation. And then civil society, who are also active in their conversation as well. They should also take part in this too. And then lastly, you can commission your own similar type of reports. I know we're at almost 7 minutes, but feel free to click any of these links, or check the link in the description of this video, and there should be ways and means to be able to engage with us through that. So yeah, this is Mark signing out. Just a quick snapshot. Of course, there's a lot more we could unpack. We could go into sort of any particular slide with implications for key sectors, but this is just giving you a glimpse of some of the reporting we do. And this is a public-facing report that we've made. We obviously do tailored ones around clients and their respective sets of interest. So if that's of interest at all, please reach out. My details are here. My phone number is there, or rather the office phone number, but happy to be of service. Thank you, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.